bring you to the set. So let's first start with our first talk. It's Niels Schweisshelm. He did a presentation here last year as well, which was very well received. So he's back for his second presentation. He will tell you all the latest about all the security things, and he'll probably make you scared. Okay, Niels?
Ja. Mag ik de... Thank you. Alright, so first of all, welcome and enjoy the pizza, or I hope you enjoyed it. Tonight we'll be talking about 4 different topics, basically. How Facebook was breached last week, or let's say 2 weeks ago. How British Airways was compromised, let's say, a month ago. How Snapchat and Uber leaked their production API secrets. How you can emulate and prevent, because that is the most important part here, those attacks yourself on your own GitHub repos, on your own code repositories, whether it's Bitbucket, doesn't really matter. We'll be talking about insights into application security, and last but not least, we'll talk about bug bounties, and we have several memes, obviously, since it's a security presentation. So, who am I? For the people that don't know me, my name is Niels Schweisshelm. I am hired by KLM as an ethical hacker. In my spare time, I work together with companies such as PayPal, the Dutch Tax Administration, Starbucks, Sony, and several others that I cannot really name due to non-disclosure agreements. Like Anthony mentioned, it's my second time here presenting, which I really liked. I was invited for a second time because the first time was so much fun to do. If you are into bug bounties, feel free to hit me up on HackerOne, which is basically my only social media presence. If you need or want tips on bug bounties, responsible disclosure, just IT security stuff in general, feel free to contact me there. And that was a little present from the Dutch Tax Administration after handing in several critical reports. So just to do a small recap, I would like to, when you leave this tonight, I would like you to know how to prevent these attacks happening on your own companies that you work for, because these attacks were not difficult in nature. They could have been prevented so easily. And in the case of Snapchat, which you will see here, this screenshot from one of the platforms that I work for is basically the entire reason for this talk. What we have here is a guy named The Gentleman, which is a very well-respected ethical hacker, who found production secrets belonging to Snapchat's GitHub repository inside a public GitHub repository. The reason why I took this report as basically the entire outcome of this talk is the fact that The Gentleman personally named the person that belonged whose GitHub repo it actually was. So you can imagine, this report was worth $15,000. Snapchat received it, they instantly paid him $15,000 because they realized these were production secrets. Anybody could have accessed this, the Snapchat APIs and stuff through GitHub. It was insane. But what really terrified me was these mistakes are easily made. And the company that you work for, if you make a mistake like this, it will get back to you. Because these $15,000 payouts, they need to be authorized. Somebody will see that report with your personal name on it, with a link to your personal GitHub repo. And based on that, I am not really comfortable with that. That's one of the reasons why I blacked out the names, which is complete nonsense, because this report is publicly available for anybody without authentication. So that brings me to my second point. If this Mr., the software engineer at Snap, I'm not sure if he's still there or not, is going to look for a new job, HR will most likely put his name through Google. And this is on the first page. So based on that, I came up with this talk/workshop that will teach you how to go through your own GitHub repos, and not necessarily the source code, but more the commits. That's what we will be focusing on, because people tend to, there is a lack of awareness in what you can put in your GitHub commits that are publicly available for everybody, and based on that, That's where this entire talk is from. So I think we can all agree that you do not want to see your own name in a report like that is being evaluated by your IT security company. And yeah, the fact that his name is in there, it seems to be a reoccurring trend because people start using personal GitHub repos. And that was the first meme. And you know, they put stuff in there that should not really be there, which is linked to their personal name for quite some time. As you can see now, we are still using it in this presentation. So I have made a small video that I will show you that will demonstrate how this specific person found these credentials or API secrets. And at the end of this workshop, you will be able to use this tool on your own GitHub repos to prevent sensitive information from being leaked. So the tool that we'll be demoing here is called Trufflehawk, which is quite an inventive name if you look at what it does. It basically scours through your GitHub commits, goes to the deepest level, tries to find personal and sensitive information there. What is really nice about this tool, it flags the output of anything that looks sensitive, which you will see in a moment. Meaning that it's very easy to retrieve and go back and just read over it. And without even paying attention to the output, you can already see sensitive stuff coming by. So let's run the script. It's nothing more than an install and then the name of the script with the GitHub repository attached to it. And then you will see the output coming back, which in first instance looks unreadable. Anything that's yellow could be potentially sensitive information. So this is from the Ansible public GitHub repo, which I've been through already to be sure that I'm not showing you anything sensitive. But companies accept these risks based on the fact that it could be a local installation only. So an attacker, in order to exploit this, would need, let's say, sensitive information. But what you can see here already, let's just go back a little bit. If you paid attention, you could see some secrets flying by. That will zoom in now. So, depending on the context, this information could be extremely sensitive, could be extremely valuable, could also be nothing. And that's where the manual investigation begins. But this is exactly how the gentleman found API credentials belonging to Snapchat on GitHub in a public repository. And that is what I want to teach you as well, these techniques to go home and go over your own repositories, because this is all passive information gathering. The company that you are targeting as an attacker will not notice anything about this. So Snapchat did not know anything about what happened with their API key until somebody used it to access their production servers. So that's what makes this attack factor very, very dangerous, is the fact that when you do get something as an attacker, you can instantly log into their production servers without any pre-existing log files or activities that could point you as a company towards the identity or even geographical location of the attacker. So yeah, I hope that this sparks somewhat of an interest, and if it does, then I hope to see you at 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you, Niels. So we're switching laptops at the moment. So next up will be Ruben. Ruben is also working at KLM at the moment. He will give a nice presentation on VR. And after that you need to decide which work you want to do. So it's probably good. I think he will show a demo as well. It's probably good to already look at your glasses. Yeah, see how it works. You have to insert your phone, but he will explain it in a moment. Oh yeah, and I want to remind you, if you have any tips for us or compliments, you can put them on the wall behind, on the blue wall. It's always good to get some feedback, see if how we can improve. I see the person who won last time the Frontmania ticket, so you're not allowed to participate. I'm sorry. Because okay, good. Yeah. Others also need a chance to win, right? Very good. Okay, Ruben, let's go.
Testing. It's working, right?
Yep.
Great, cool. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Ruben van der Leun, and I'm here to give you a quick primer on what XR is all about. Yeah, as you mentioned, I'm currently a freelance developer working on my own as Leun, in which I'm currently working at the Digital Studios working on a hybrid app. And next to that, I'm also the co-founder of the Reality Lab. We're a small company mostly focused on building small projects for clients who are just mainly interested to see what VR is all about. And yeah, I always use the term VR evangelist to essentially say I'm the guy who won't shut up about VR. So, to highlight what the three R's of XR are. The first one is V, which stands for virtual reality. Now with virtual reality, what you essentially do is you grab a display, you prop it right up to your head. You look extremely silly from the outside, but from the inside, you'll feel like this. It's very difficult to explain. Honestly, it's really one of those things that you have to try by yourself to really feel that presence of being somewhere else. The A stands for augmented reality, which is essentially a user interface for the human eye. It's mostly to give additional information on something in your surrounding, using possibly object tracking or object recognition to give you more explanation on what you're looking at. Which is often done via something like the Google Glasses here, which is essentially just a small display, an Android display, which is displayed to the which you put right in front of your eye so you can quickly look up and get the data. And the last letter is the M for mixed reality, which is essentially a bit of a mix between virtual reality and augmented reality, in which objects are actually projected in the real world. It's able to actually track your surroundings. So for example, it can track a table, the floor, or anything. In which you essentially wear something like the HoloLens or the recently released Leap Motion. But what's also recently been becoming popular is ARKit and ARCore. These are technologies for both Android and iOS, which allows you to do the same thing, but by just using your mobile. And what I very quickly want to highlight here is augmented and mixed reality are a bit of a buzzwords because they're very often intermixed. Like I said, Android and iOS are essentially using AR to use the same definition for MR. So if people are talking about AR or MR, it's generally just a mix of either technology. Now what I'm personally mostly interested in is WebXR, which I already coined it in the title. The thing about WebVR is you simply go to a URL in your browser. In essence, there's always an icon pops up, which you can press, and then instantly you can then immediately put on your headset and see the VR result without having to download or install any software. To demonstrate what's going ahead of myself there. To quickly call the three pros on why I'm a big fan of WebXR is the ease of deployment. Normally if you want to install an app to Lots of different devices. People have to install the right software. You have to make sure that they use the right operating system. Whereas with WebXR, much like with web applications, you just point people to a URL and it works. The ease of development is also a big game changer for me. If you want to build something for the desktop, you need to install software like Unity or Unreal, which are really just big hefty tools which you have to learn, whereas with WebXR, all what you need is a text browser. No, you need a text editor and a browser. And especially also the cross-platform. Basically, anything that you build in WebXR can instantly be deployed on something like the HC5, to the Google Cardboard, but also even cross-media, like say something that you can build will also instantly work on augmented reality or virtual reality. To give a bit of a demonstration, I've built a companion app which you can look at during the talk. You can browse through the URL in the upper left, trlvr.nl/webvr. It's something that I've personally mostly tested with Android and iOS, and it might work for Windows mobile devices. Is there anyone here with a Windows mobile? Never. I'm still waiting for the first. And throughout the talk it will update for each slide to give you a bit of an idea on how WebVR works. What I quickly want to highlight is I'm not a designer. I'm mainly just a developer, and I just have absolutely no idea how to design something that looks good. So please don't go into this thinking that this is what VR is all about, because you have some designers out there who can do insane stuff with this. I want to very quickly highlight the two different hardware devices that you essentially have. The first one is the 3 degrees of freedom devices. These are mainly like the Google Cardboard and such. The main thing to note about these is that the camera is always just stuck in one place. Like you can look around, but nothing will happen if you will duck or start moving around. So essentially it's like this, like you're just seated in a single place. Whereas with the slightly more expensive devices, you get the 6 degrees of freedom, which allows you to actually walk around in your living room. In essence, there's always a so-called chaperone bounce, which basically means that if you get close to the walls, then a grid will show up to indicate that, yeah, don't walk further, else you'll crash right into the wall. So, to give a bit of an idea of what we can actually do with XR, I want to highlight a couple of things. Now, the first off that I want to talk about is one of the main things that's also likely why it's becoming popular now, is gaming. Gaming on a desktop and VR is insanely different. Like when you're playing on a desktop or a console, you're mainly just sitting, using the keyboard or whatever. Whereas with something like VR, you can really get into the game itself. You need to move around, you have to respond with your hands and everything. It's incredibly immersive. And with something like AR and mixed reality, essentially the living room becomes a level. Because it can also actually track the walls, it can create spawn points, but it can also even go farther, like being able to track where the tables are, allowing the user to actually duck and hide between tables to avoid shots. Another topic in which VR is mostly used in commercial environments is training, like in this example, preparing yourself to give a presentation to a group of people. This is one that I recently discovered, which I think is very, very cute. But for example, you can learn how to salsa dance in the safety of your own living room. And yes, you will look silly with the headset on, but at least you won't be in the middle of a dance studio. And with AR, it, for example, can be used to highlight certain objects. Another big one for me, especially with VR, is social. The big thing about speaking to other people in VR is that you really get a feeling that you're right there with them. At one point I had a conference with someone from England and someone from Australia while I was in my living room here in Holland. And yeah, to me it was like that we were all just in the same meadow. We were all seated around a campfire having a talk, and they were right there with me. Facebook is already trying to promote VR with this, allowing you to talk with your Facebook friends, sharing images, videos, and whatever's happening here. And with AR, and this is really more of a proof of concept, this isn't really working yet, but in the future it might be possible to actually talk with other people and see them as a hologram projected right in front of you. They are actually already using this technology for some conferences to create holograms, which gives the idea as if the speaker is right in front of them while he's actually somewhere while he's actually in America, for example. Isolation is one that's more for VR itself. It allows you to basically just go into a living room, sit by yourself, and for me the biggest thing there is you get no distractions whatsoever. The first time that I actually tried it, I noticed that there was something off, and it was because that I was just watching a show on Netflix, and I wasn't grabbing my mobile every now and then to see whatever message was coming up. And for developers, this might also be interesting. They've also created software which allows you to put on the headset, and then the screen from your MacBook or your laptop or whatever then gets projected right in front of you. And the neat thing about this is that if you're in the middle of a very busy office, you can still isolate yourself from the rest of the environment, which for me as a developer is really big because I can get easily distracted by colleagues walking by or discussing stuff. Yeah, and frankly, that's just the cool thing about all of this is we're still discovering and seeing what is going on. This week I actually discovered a cute little example that I very quickly want to show. And I hope that we have sound. No, we don't. Actually, I'm hearing something. So yeah, this starts off. So this is about kids getting a vaccine shot. And essentially what they've created here is a distraction for the kids while they're getting their shot.
To make it work, we need one VR gear, one smartphone for the children, one for the nurse, and the VR vaccine app. And what the children experience in the virtual world is matched step by step by the nurse that follows the story on a second screen. Pronto. Agora o fuso de fogo. Mas ó, vamos lá. Bem rapidinho. Peraí. All simultaneously calming and entertaining children while helping the nurses to better perform the vaccination. Funciona. Obrigada. Filho, o que você acha disso?
And then again, I hadn't seen anything like this before, and it just popped up in my feed last week. And so, like I said, people are still just discovering new and unique ways to use VR, and that just really excites me. To quickly start rounding off, what I will be demonstrating tonight is how to build VR using A-Frame, which is a framework developed by a large group of open source developers, including a few from Mozilla. All those awesome technical words I will also explain further into the workshop itself. But I want to just give a very quick demonstration, and if you're using the companion app, you will see this happen live by just using simple HTML. And pressing save. I can add a 360 environment right around me with just a few simple HTML elements. Yeah, it's right in front of me. I can add boxes. I can rotate them. I can change the scale if I want to. And it's really just done using nothing more than simple HTML, which I think a lot of people may already know and are aware of how it works. And I really just want to show you guys what you can build with this. So that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ruben. That was, I think, it was a nice presentation about the things we can do. So, what I